Okay, Lissa, I am here and I am going to be interviewing Hailey Rowe, and I'm super excited. So I'm going to do her intro and then we're going to go into the podcast. And Hailey, it's about 30 minutes. So take your time. Let's make sure we get all of your plugs in so that people know how to find you and connect with you. So 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm excited to have Hailey Rowe with us. Hailey is a marketing and sales coach for online service providers, life coaches, wellness professionals, and health coaches who want to gain more clients online consistently, growing their business to full-time and rock their sales without self-doubt. She shares her business marketing and mindset tips in her Health Coach Nation podcast and in our Health Coach Nation Facebook group. Hailey's philosophy is you can have an amazing service impact to make, but without sales and marketing, your business will remain a hobby. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's incredible. And I'm kind of a super fan of hers. I've been kind of stalking her online for a while. She's pretty amazing. And if you haven't connected with her yet, I would totally recommend that you do. Hailey, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Jana, and I'm also a fan of yours. So this is a lot of fun to finally come together.
I know, I love it when people who have the same kind of thought process and the same desire to reach out and serve people get together, and it kind of creates some magic.
I agree. I'm very happy to be here. And I think that what you're doing for your audience, showing that there's always a bright side and there's always hope, is really important.
Especially right now, right?
Yeah, totally.
So, Hailey, this whole podcast is about, oh, my health, there is hope. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your health that you're struggling with. And Hailey we were just talking about, she's a very powerful story of hope. And so do you mind sharing that with everybody?
I would love to. Yeah. And, I do have a health background, and I did start getting into health because I was kind of unhealthy, not in a way of being sick or, anything like that, but I was really inactive. I was not feeling so good. And so back in 2010, I started to get into wellness, fitness programs, and, at-home workouts was kind of my gateway into fitness. And I realized I just loved it. It kind of broke open the world of personal development, health, and I realized I wanted to work in that industry and be able to help change people's lives and make them healthier and happier. And so I got into that pretty young, and then I started to get a bunch of different certifications, and I started to teach fitness, train people, health coach, etc. And I didn't know yet what my dream job was. I knew I liked that kind of stuff, but I wasn't quite sure what I really wanted to do, and ended up studying entrepreneurship. I knew I wanted to own a business. I knew I wanted to work in business somehow and combine, hopefully, my passion of health and business together. And so did that, started working in the wellness startup world, and rather than just, starting my own business full time, I've always had, side hustles throughout the last 10 years. And I started working at some wellness startups. One of them I thought was my dream job. They brought me on full time. I was assistant manager. It was for this cutting edge wellness company, super passionate about it. I got to wear so many different hats. I got to do so many different things. And right around a time where I had just been told, oh yeah, you're going to get a promotion. And I had just signed a 1-year lease in Los Angeles, which, as you can imagine, is pretty expensive. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to stay out here. I'm going to be committed to this job. And I also, at the same time, had found out my roommate had been lying about our rent and had moved across the country for this job. So there was like a lot going on at once. I was signing this new lease. I was working this job that was very hands-on and demanding, overtime required oftentimes. And then one day, the day after Halloween, actually, we had to have a Zoom meeting, and entire team was let go on a Zoom call. And I was not seeing that coming at all, honestly. But at the same time, they were facing a lot of delays. They had brought on a lot of people, potentially prematurely. And so that was a big shock. And it made me realize, oh, shoot, this is outside of my control. I thought this was my dream job. And it was also a chance, though, to pause and to think, like, what do I want to do now? What can I do now? I didn't feel confident enough to start my own business before I had more sales and marketing experience by working at health startups. So by doing that job and getting that crash course, I finally realized, well, there's no better time than now to try my own thing. And this could be like my awakening moment to give it a shot. So from there, I realized I wanted to help people who had gotten certifications. They love wellness, they love personal development, they want to help people, they want to coach, but the coaching programs don't teach you anything about marketing, anything about sales, maybe a little bit, but not much. So what I wanted to do was take what I had learned working in the startup world and also in majoring in entrepreneurship and my different certifications around that, and teach coaches how they can run their business and be able to include sales and marketing in their business so they can keep doing their craft, right? So that's what I started about 3 years ago. It was not a linear path to success. It was a lot of ups and downs. I was trying to figure things out. I myself was learning how to manage my own self as my own boss and how I work. And now about 1.5 years, I've been full-time. I've been, doing this, and I'm very grateful that happened. Getting let go was one of the best things now, looking back, that ever happened to me, because it kind of frees you up to not have that many fears. You're kind of like, the worst thing that could have happened financially or in my career has already happened. And so you just become more fearless, which is really important if you want to try entrepreneurship. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
One of the things I really love about you is you really know your lane. Like, you have perfected what you do. And for those of you who know, like, I take 20 clients every quarter that I work with VIP clients, and very rarely do I bring in an expert to work with them. And Hailey's one of the experts I invited in to work with them because she really has perfected what she does. So like right now, with everything going on with COVID and people being laid off and they've been sent to work from home, and some of them are looking for a plan B because their jobs may not be there when they go back. And like you said, it takes away a lot of your fears when you're put in that position because you're in survival mode. Like, what am I going to do to pay my bills and to move forward? And certain fears are gone. You don't have to worry about leaving that security of your job because it left you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really have a choice.
Exactly. And that's what's going on right now. So what would you tell women who are looking for a plan B right now? How do they get started? What are some tips that they can start doing to find out what that passion is for them?
Yeah, I love that question. And I think it is important to always be diversifying, thinking about a plan B, because at the end of the day, the whole crisis thing, I heard a quote from a lady named Stephanie Kovalovitz or Kolovitz, and she's a wellness entrepreneur. And she said that crisis is forced change. So all that's happening right now is fast forced change. We might have been forced to change over time, slowly, regardless of COVID, meaning a lot more things are moving online. A lot of things just in our world are changing, a lot more technology based. But with COVID, now it's forced change and we have to move fast. And so if you're trying to think of a plan B, I think the first thing is to not try to protect your energy to stay out of panic mode and get into a creative space and a long-term thinking space, because if you guys are in crisis mode all the time, it's going to be really hard to execute ideas, work in a way that's productive, that kind of thing. So first thing is try to protect your energy, whatever that is for you. Coming to a morning journal practice, whatever you can do to keep your mindset healthy. And then from that space, I would always think about, what do you find? There's a couple questions I'd ask yourself. What do you find easy that other people are like, how did you do that? So for example, and you might not even notice it because it's so easy for you, meaning like if it's really easy for you to come on camera and speak live to an audience, then that's a talent, and that's something that some people really struggle with. So maybe you could be somebody who helps people with on-camera presence, for example. So just think about what's easy for me that's not, or I'm really good at organizing, or I'm really good at entertaining kids, or whatever. And then the second question is, what is needed right now and what's relevant right now and what will hopefully be relevant long term. So you don't want to, you might need a bridge income or something that just for right now, given what's going on, you have to kind of pivot and adapt your messaging for this short term, but also think long term. Like, if this did end, would that business still be relevant and sustainable? Because you kind of want to have both going for you. So think about what's needed right now and what will continue to be needed in the future, and how can I fit into that? And also, what are the skill sets, people, plan, metrics, etc., I would need to start that journey of whatever it is my plan B is. So I would think about, what are the outcomes you want to have with this new passion you're starting? How can you measure your progress? What would you need to track? Who do you need to talk to or learn from or ask questions before you go all the way through with something prematurely? That's another big thing, is like, if you can get some market research about whatever you're thinking about pivoting into, meaning ask people, would they pay for this? Is this problem they would want to solve? That kind of thing, that's going to be really important as well.
That is great advice. And the one thing that I would add to that is be authentic to who you are, because that plays a lot, especially if you're working online. If you're working online and you're just doing something to make a buck, people figure that out pretty quickly. But if you created a brand and you created something you feel really incredible about, that really comes across, and it's like your super attractor, and it starts attracting people into you. And let's face it, the online business is going to become even more saturated after this, because everybody gets that. I mean, I know that you work online, I work online, our businesses are thriving because that's the space to be in right now. So it's going to get even more saturated, and being authentic and really putting that out there really is what attracts people to who you are and what you're putting out there as your business.
I completely agree. And I think anytime you do something that's not aligned, it's not only it's exhausting for you, because every day you feel like you're putting on an act, right? But it's also, people can smell it. There's something that I heard, I can't remember who said this, but I think it was Dean Jackson, who's like a marketer. He said there's something called commission breath. And it's what he means by that is, like, when somebody shifts into something new and it's really unnatural for them, and they're have that desperation mode, and it's like not super authentic, it's like you can smell their commission breath. They just want to buck, and they're just trying to, sell and that kind of thing.
That is perfect. And you know what? I never thought of it that way, but you do step back. Like, so true. So tell us a little bit about what you do with entrepreneurs online.
Yeah. So I work with primarily wellness professionals, so health coaches, life coaches, but mainly online service providers who really want to improve their sales and marketing to a point where that's consistently bringing them clients. So we work on getting them more traffic, which is eyeballs on your stuff, right? That from qualified people, like your ideal client. We work on client building activities. So we try to get you not focused on things that don't truly matter, like scrolling social media, posting all the time without any strategy behind it, things like that. And then we also work on sales and closing. So a lot of my clients they have this thing that sales has to be icky, it has to be slimy, and really work with them on shifting that and stepping into a place of serving and attracting their ideal clients and being able to coach in a way that leads to sales, not sell and push in a way that leads to sales.
I think she's amazing at this, by the way. And we're like on the same path, but we have two different thought patterns for it. When we talk, it's very funny, even though we want the same end results. I hate the word sales. I tell my clients all the time, you're serving your clients, and you're converting them into something that makes them thrive. But at the end of the day, it sells. But if they can wrap their mind around another word or another way, because for some reason sales has become like a dirty word out there.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because that is how people grow. I grew from purchasing things. I got my health back from purchasing a product, and there was nothing wrong with that. So I love that you work really focused on that conversion and what that looks like. And we also talked about what your client avatar looks like. So if you're deciding to have a plan B, what I would tell you not to do, and I'm pretty sure Hailey would too, is just don't throw everything out there and hope someone bites on
Yeah,
something.
100%. You have to know who you want to serve and what are the distinguishing things about that person. It's not even enough to just say, well, I help busy women. Well, what kind of busy women? Are they divorced, busy women who need blah, blah, blah? Like, you got to get more specific. Who are you serving? What do you help them with? What's unique about your audience? Like, how can they identify with you immediately and know they're a part of your tribe? And when you're being super general, they're never going to be able to know that. It's like if you were at a conference center and you said, everybody with the red hats come to this corner, that's good, right? Because people immediately are like, yes. And either they're going to be way more attracted to you, or the people without red hats are going to move along, right? Which is kind of what you want. You want to be a super attractor to the people who you want to attract and kind of repel the people you don't want to work with.
I agree. I literally have avatars for my clients. I know what they look like, where they're shopping, who they're following, what books they're reading. And when I go out into public and I have to speak, or I'm on live speaking, I'm literally speaking to that very specific avatar. I don't care if anyone else hears it, because I'm only speaking to that one avatar. And you think that a lot of people have the mindset that closes out tons of people that might come into your tribe. But those are the people that drain your energy because they don't really want to be there.
Right.
You have nothing to offer them, really. And so it just saves you a lot of time, and it actually, you're going to be surprised at the flow in that you get. Is that kind of how you work when you're doing sales and you're creating that pathway for them?
Absolutely. Ideally, you'd want to be able to, like, I could probably go to someone's Facebook profile or Instagram profile and immediately be like, this is my girl, like, this is a part of my tribe. Or I would immediately be like, no, we don't really match that much. And not to say you're judging a book by its cover, but from their posts, from who they are, that's how clear you want to be on your ideal client. And when you're trying to speak to everybody, there's the famous marketing quote, you're speaking to no one. So the more specific you can get, the easier it is going to be for you to find your ideal clients and to attract them naturally, because you know who you're speaking to.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, and we're going to still ask some questions, but I want to jump into your freebie offer because I want you to explain a little bit about what that is and how that can help them, and maybe open up some areas that they weren't even aware of that they could really work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think for right now, given everything that's going on, everybody's home, everybody's trying to think about their plan B or continue growing their business. And maybe your routines have been disrupted. Maybe you feel distracted easily. So what I have for your audience is a free consistency challenge, and it's 3 days, and it teaches them how to become a more consistent person, how to stop the all or nothing, and what are the habits they need to do in their business to continue growing and feeling momentum. So it's available at haileyrowe.com/consistency. That's HAILEY Rowe, ROWE.com/consistency. And they're more than welcome to check that out. And in addition, if they want to book a consistency call with me to go over, hey, I'm really stuck here, or I can't seem to get the time to do XYZ, we could talk more about that. So you can just connect with me on social media or email info@haileyrowe.com with consistency call as the subject line.
I totally would take her up on that offer because this is a very busy girl and she really is an expert in her field. So that is an amazing offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the other things I wanted to ask you is, what do you think is the number one mistake we can make when we're super excited, we have the passion, we know what our avatar is, and then we get online to build our business? What's the biggest mistake people make?
Ooh, okay. Well, this is a really good question because there's a lot of mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes too on this whole journey. And one of them, I would say, is prematurely doing things you don't need to do yet. So in other words, buying a very expensive website or getting 10 more certifications when you already have 1 or 2, or launching an entire program without doing any research to see if it actually works, get proof of concept, talk to your audience and see if this is something they'd actually participate in. Those are the kinds of mistakes that I think people make. Or being analysis paralysis. So there's two extremes. There's the extreme of fast action takers who just create everything and put it out there and hope that it works, and they didn't have any strategy behind it and they just threw it together. And then there's the group of, oh my gosh, I can't even decide. It's like every decision is like a week long process, and it could be the tiniest decision. Like I have to decide between my logo. It's taken me 6 months. I can't figure it out. Like, that's the other group. So we don't want to be in either of those. You want to be moving forward with strategy, but you don't want to do things you don't need to do yet. So you don't want to be over busying yourself with the things that don't actually move the needle, book you clients, build relationships, that kind of thing, get you exposure. And you also don't want to be the person who's moving so slow and a perfectionist and waiting till everything is extremely perfect until you move forward.
I love both of those. By the way, I'm the first category, and I did make all of those mistakes. And I can tell you she's absolutely right. I had a very expensive website that nobody went to. And I had like all the expensive programs that I wasn't ready for. So there was nobody going there. And the minute I scaled back and put myself in front of my brand and literally let people get to know me and engage with me, I did find use for all that stuff later, but it was a couple of years later.
Yeah, I agree. I spent way too much on a website and a lot of different things that if I would have just had a simple landing page at first and then started booking some clients and then knew my clients so well that when I did make a website, I already knew it was kind of like created for me, meaning I knew the language, I knew what branding they like, that kind of thing. I would have gone in a different order, I think.
I like that. So what would be the one, if those are the two not things to do, what would be the one major thing they should get started on? One thing, like I want to do something. What's the first thing I can do besides talk to you?
I love it. Well, thank you. If you're trying to work with clients, so whatever you do is service-based, I would get talking to people. And what I mean by that is figure out what your process is, so what your nurturing process is. And if it's discovery calls or if it's an email funnel or whatever, great, line up with that, but get as many people who are your ideal clients going to that thing.
I think that's really great. But again, once you know your avatar, you'll know if you should be doing those discovery calls. You'll know if you should be doing an email funnel because you'll know what your avatar is looking for and what they're opening and what they're connecting with and what they're attracted to.
Totally.
Well, I would love you to talk a little bit about your podcast too, because I become a real fan of that too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's called Health Coach Nation. And basically what we cover on that show is mindset, marketing, sales, and time management tips for online entrepreneurs. So it's not just necessarily for health coaches. However, we do have a lot of leaders in the health space talking about their business on that show, and would love for you guys to check it out.
I would love you guys to check it out too. And I'm going to ask everyone a favor. If you go check it out, please leave Hailey a rating and a review, especially if you loved her podcast. And I know you will, because I do. But I don't think people understand that that's the only way for us to get better, right? Is to hear like, oh, I really love that talk that you did. And we know you want more of that. And even though you get to listen to our podcast for free, they cost a lot of money to produce, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We want your feedback so that we can just keep showing up, doing better, and giving you exactly what it is you want to hear.
Thank you, Jana. And obviously leave Jana a review if you haven't already. She would never say it herself, but she deserves all of your reviews.
Yeah, I would say it.
Well, you're very modest, very humble. And you're always promoting your guests. So we got to promote you too.
Thank you. I do. I really get the best guests. And I was so excited because I've been kind of stalking her, Hailey, for quite a while now. And we finally started connecting, and I asked her to be on the podcast because I knew she had an incredible story. And I'm always looking for that really authentic expert, because when you go out there and you start typing in, I need a VA, I need a coach in my business, I need this, you're going to have millions of options, right? There's so many people out there. So how do I pick who's right? And the only way to pick who's right is to start stalking them, get to know them, book a call. The calls are free. Book a call and see, like, that girl speaks my language. I understood everything she was saying. I loved her energy, and I can do that. So book that call with Hailey, do her, get her free gift that she has, because it looks pretty awesome. Free marketing audit. And I love anything that says audited. And I don't know why. I'm just
Yes.
trying to get answers.
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited. I think it'll work really nicely when they do the consistency challenge, and then we can just talk about where they're really struggling getting the consistent results. So happy to do that and excited to connect with some of you guys.
Well, Hailey, thank you so much. Can you just tell us a few places that they can find you?
Yeah. So you can always go to Facebook, and I have a community there called Health Coach Nation. It's just facebook.com/groups/Health Coach Nation. I'm on Instagram at Hailey_Rowe. I have the Health Coach Nation podcast, HaileyRowe.com. So pretty much any of those places, I would love to connect with you.
Thank you, Hailey. You're really a special coach, and I hope that you keep doing this and you just keep growing, because you're helping so many people. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week. I'm waving like you can see me. Bye.
Bye.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.